We live in a world of media narratives. Ethereum has spent the last couple of years talking up its highly anticipated merge, essentially a software upgrade. This new version of ETH is hinged on a consensus mechanism shift from proof of work to proof of stake. And if you don't quite understand what that means, keep watching this show to understand its implications. Today's guest, Reeve Collins, is the former CEO of Tether and current co-founder of Smart Media Technologies. He's a major player in the cryptocurrency space who will help us gain a complex view of the upcoming merge. Reeve, welcome to the Daily Drop.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Look, everybody's talking about the merge, and let's start at the beginning with Ethereum. So how did Ethereum get so popular?
Well, back in 2014, it finally, they did a crowd sale. And if you really rewind a little bit, that was a very uncommon way to raise money. They were one of the first real ICOs. And the price was around 30 cents when they rolled it out. And so a lot of people believed in Vitalik's vision of creating a smart contract or a computer in the cloud. He was going to create a Turing complete computer that would be able to do complex transactions. Prior to that, there was the blockchain, which kind of revolutionized the way transactions were done. However, the Bitcoin blockchain could only confirm a transaction, but a smart contract can do complex ones, which have led us to where we're at today with all of these innovations on top of the blockchain. So that was the concept. They did the crowd sale in 2014. Took about a year for them to actually deliver the product, but they've been iterating on since then. However, now, 7 or 8 years later, we're finally to the first real major upgrade that everybody's been talking about.
So can you actually explain what is the upgrade? What is the merge?
Yeah. Well, the reason why everyone's talking about it, why this upgrade is so important, because as I said, it started out at 30 cents, and now today's the price, is around $1,500, and it fluctuates quite a bit every day. But when any type of asset skyrockets that much and so much wealth is created, a lot of people become interested. And also the technology is greatly changing the way the world does business. And so you've heard about how slow the transactions are and how expensive they are with Ethereum. Well, the merge is laying the groundwork to improve that, but it's going to do it in sections. And this very first upgrade to Ethereum that's happening somewhere around midnight tonight, Eastern time, lays the foundation for them to switch from proof of work to proof of stake, which really means it reduces the energy consumption. So they believe that it'll be over a 99.5% reduction in energy consumption after this upgrade.
Amazing. And look, I definitely want to get more into the implications of the merge and the various sort of iterations of what essentially is now a 5-part merge for the future. Yeah. But let's focus a little bit more on Ethereum. We got 2 more minutes. I want to start with how Ethereum got here, right? And so now it has this sort of status as the most popular blockchain. But is this sustainable? Can Ethereum sustain this type of success?
Absolutely, and he got the status because it was the first to market to create a smart contract blockchain. Now, there's been some Ethereum killers out there trying to improve the speed of the transactions and the cost, such as Cardano, Solana, Polkadot, and my favorite, Casper. But those all have found a place, but ultimately the majority of developers build on Ethereum, and it has the biggest community. And that community, even though these transactions are very expensive and sometimes slow, still is growing, and there's so much belief in it. So this upgrade is going to give that community much more tools. So Ethereum really can be the foundation for the future of Web3 and the foundation for how a lot of transactions are done on blockchains.
Well, look, speaking of community, in a way, it's a community of competitors. Do you think there are any realistic competitors to challenge Ethereum's dominance? I mean, right now, we've got over 20,000 official cryptocurrencies.
Yes. That's an interesting question because the majority of the competitors are layer 2. So they're all blockchains or technologies that are built on top of Ethereum in order to increase the speed of transactions and reduce the cost of those transactions. However, when Ethereum completes its upgrade to Ethereum 2, to ETH2, which is going to take well over a year, I believe that it's going to be very difficult for anyone to compete with it specifically. When I was talking about community, I meant the developers, the developer community on top of Ethereum, building on Solidity. creating all of these applications. There's tens of thousands of developers around the world, and it's hard to replace that type of momentum and belief and brain power into building some successful applications on top of a protocol layer.
Definitely. Look, speaking of momentum, you've got the momentum, but I'm going to kill it because we're going to go to break, but we're going to go back on the Daily Drop.